Although we haven't necessarily seen him play the biggest teams yet, Smooya has fit in very easily with Fnatic, and in this game specifically, put up a good performance with the AWP. I want to make some points about how he fits in with this team, and how he performs well on the CT side with the AWP. Let's get straight into this. At round 2, we have Smooya picking up a scout on the force that was given to him from Brolin. Already, we can tell from that exchange how they're going to work with Smooya on Fnatic. In fact, just to note, every real buy round, Smooya had an AWP. Smooya was headed towards long until Alex does good damage to Madden in toilets, who could still be available to Smooya if he were to peek. He immediately heads there to see if he can catch him, but is too late. Eventually, heading back to long to peek it and gets spotted from the jump peak. Concerned with now being double peeked, he backs off towards short again towards his teammates, then again returning to long. Picking up Madden finally from another jump peak when they're pushed up, and now they're into a 2v4, now 2v3. Both him and Crims have better guns now, and so they group up and push long together, dodging the flash coming from Optimus' side of the site, and then swinging truck and cleaning up Stiko. Together, they clear out the site with Crims getting a kill on Zen. As Crims now starts to plant safe, Smooya posts up short and gets Emmy. Here we can see how Smooya intends to act while playing with Fnatic. As you can see, he gives the M4 away to Crims and keeps the AK to himself. It does look like they discuss it very briefly, but he sticks with the AK. He's happy going in first, getting the pick on Stiko, and opening up the site. This demonstrates his aggressive nature, which benefits him with the awping, but will help him mould well with this team. Round 12 is nothing too crazy to discuss, but I want to point out a few things. He demonstrates a few nice peaks and boosts that you could use in your own games, although you probably know of this slide peak as well as this stair corner boost. What is interesting with this is the timing of when they use this boost, because we can see Fnatic have heavy pressure on connector. A typical response to this pressure from the toilets player is to often then pay attention to top connector from Guardian. This is when the boost could catch out the potential CT playing here, but as we know from the X-ray, there's no one there. But what is more important is the initiative displayed by Smooya. Although somewhat haphazard, he's jumping into short to get a peek on the right pot's corner, and although no one is there, Farlig is in fact further out than the peek Smooya expected. But as a result of him missing, Smooya punishes him for it. This opening then frees up A short to move a bit safer with Smooya posted on the corner, letting Fnatic clean up the round pretty easily here with that pick on Phoenix's awper. Now, unfortunately, Smooya's AWP aggressive nature got him caught out on this T side, but that's beside the point. What I really wanted to highlight today is Smooya roaming around the A side, often being left alone on the CT side to do what he will. Fast forwarding all the way to round 23, we can see how happy he is to get in the face of the T's. He's pushed up towards the stairs and faces Fountain, looking to get a T to expose himself with the lack of pressure from balloons, and no aggressive molly or flash this time, which they've done in past rounds. T's have been conditioned to expect this, and because they're not doing this, they may run a contact up to A Fountain. As no one decides to peek Smooya, and there's a lot of utility being used on B and connector, Smooya decides to push in connector with Brolin, clearing out the connector push and eventually returning towards A, in which he stops backing off because some utility begins to head towards toilets. Expecting a push from stairs or balloons, he scopes up and is ready to take a fight and picks off Farlig. Madden's curiosity then gets the best of him as well, and unlike most other awpers, Smooya has committed even harder for the fight for balloons or stairs. Smooya then continues to look for fights, leaving A short and heading into connector, where, because there are no more bodies coming A, he's looking to cut off the rotate, or set up for what he expects now to be B pressure. He finds Zen, but does eventually lose to him, but that's besides the point. We see how happy Smooya is to stand his ground on A, and is often moving between connector and toilets. This movement gets less and less predictable, as we see in later rounds he is happy moving around toilets and long, and of course the A site. On round 25, we see his presence long at the start of the round, with all of his other teammates over on the B site prepared for action, calmly boosting himself up onto the half wall. Now, let me get into some theory here, because this might not be right, but I suspect it could be. The only people that can confirm this is Fnatic, but We all know that this is a solo boost, but it's usually done on the T side. To do this as a CT, you have to turn your back on long early in the round. Although when you do this, you can be pretty safe. I think they've made Smooya do this, so FPX don't assume Smooya's actually solo and someone boosted him half wall, just so that they can pretend A is not just Smooya holding the line there. Anyway, Smooya's boosted and watching long. Eventually, not happy with the presence, his concern becomes toilets. The Ts could have easily pushed up closer this early because of the lack of contact and utility from Fnatic. He holds it until it's smoked, and then as a result of the smoke, must be now a lot more concerned about over-peaking and being too comfortable. There is a confirmed presence towards A, so now Brolin comes in on the rotation to assist with the A-long pressure if there's any there, making this an extraction mission on Smooya if necessary. Smooya puts his focus towards toilets, where he ends up getting 2 kills and then is traded out. If Brolin came in faster on the rotation, he could have potentially escaped from long, but because it wasn't cleared in time because Brolin's a little bit too late, he gets picked off in toilets, but as the only line of defense, he did his job and got the kills he needed to get to help in the round. We can see that in this round again, Smooya's happy just moving around long towards toilets and isn't scared moving away from what he was previously watching. He's going out looking to get the kills on the CT side where necessary. If we move on to the penultimate round now, we have a standard molly for Fountain Stairs which has been thrown a lot in all of the other CT rounds when they've had mollies on the CT side. And we get to see how Smooya moves around and inside the toilets when he's left on his own. He focuses on connector because they haven't put a lot of their own pressure in there and it's been free real estate for FPX. Changing on where he watches it from, peeking at balloons intermittently. I'd argue watching top connector is the second safest location for you to watch, especially if you're solo A. The only other safe option being long, and that should be obvious why. But with connector, it can have contact as early as stairs or balloons, but you can remove yourself from the situation while the Ts have to be cautious of your help as a second player around the A site can easily assist you as you back off. Eventually, toilets get smoked. Smooya backs off at the same time as his teammates gain control of B short, which is empty, meaning there's likely players coming A. Backing off to Dice, getting picks towards short as he peeks off the Flash's throne. He is happy for these peeks as he knows that the threat of toilet is completely gone as it's smoked off and he just recently cleared long, so he can focus entirely on dipping in and out, peeking short, and the hold benefited massively from these peaks. Finally, we have the last round, where we can just see Smooya's aggressive nature shine, and yet another change up on how he AWPs on Overpass. Again mollying stairs, he then scopes up inside of connector, waiting for the Ts to push him. He gets the first kill onto Farlig as he walks into his scope. And then Smooya pushes even further, catching Zen with his pants down. With connector now potentially clear, he heads towards top con just as a molly comes in. But even in this molly, he manages to get Emmy as well. These 3 kills help his teammates clean up the rest of the round, and the reason he can get away with this clip is likely because connector was rarely ever held on the CT side, meaning FPX got pretty comfortable pushing inside of it. All of these other rounds have Smooya patiently playing in toilets, or around long, and FPX just have to respect where Smooya's playing because he doesn't often overpeak. If he's especially by himself or doesn't have much assistance, he will be really patient while also moving around mid in all kinds of locations. FPS respect this in regards to the Fountain side, and so because they were comfortable in connector, they were happy being a bit lazy and a bit careless in there. And this change up, pushing connector, allowed Smooya to surprise them and get 2, not easy kills, but they were definitely not prepared for him peeking. So that explains the 2 kills in connector, and lastly, the 3rd kill is just a highlight of Smooya's, again, aggressive nature and skill with the AWP, as the pressure was on him and he still performed. If there's a few things to learn from watching back this demo, it's these. Smooya is happy to be aggressive and take fights with the AWP, making himself a pretty known aggressive player, which is something you need in an awper. And regarding playing around A site on Overpass, his constant movement around toilets, long, and eventually into connector helps keep the Ts on their toes and take all the map control a lot slower because they have to respect what angle Smooya could potentially be holding. And on top of this patient nature and constant movement around the site, you never know when he's actually going to peek balloons into Fountain and take that really aggressive peek. Naturally, this gets a lot of respect out of the terrorists and just gains more time on the defense when you're playing CT. It's really exciting for me to see Smooya back in action with his UK brothers under the UK org as well. I have a totally non-biased opinion of this whole team, but unjokingly, I wish to see my brethren thrive in CS. This has been Multi. Be sure to subscribe below and follow me on Twitter as well. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll catch you in the next one.